your country. I just wonder whether you are prepared to engage with international legal institutions which want to get to the truth, which want to question you and your most senior officials about the history of your troubled region. For example, your chief of protocol, Rose Kabuye, she is due to go back to court in France to answer charges that she was involved with the shooting down of the president's plane in 1994, which kicked off the terrible genocide. Will you let her go back and face that trial?
You see, you've asked me this question, and the answer is in the same area. I think it's not, how do you want us, how does the world want international justice to be dispensed? When you have one part of the world exercising or dispensing justice over others, and they are not accountable themselves. That's the first question. They want to question me, but I want to question them too. They are responsible. Those same people who have this justice that is being dispensed on African countries are the very people who are responsible for the root causes of those problems in African countries. In Rwanda, the major culprits are colonialists, are others who came and messed up. Even in the UN itself, the UN which came to Rwanda and purportedly was supposed to provide justice or rather security to people, in the end they were killed on their watch, and they did not protect it.
Mr. President, you're making a political point. I asked you a simple question, which was, will
it is
she...
political. That point is political as well.
So are you saying she won't go back to Paris to face trial? Will she or will she not go to Paris to face trial?
But she has been going there.
She's been, yes, that's right.
Yes.
She was allowed on bail to return to Rwanda.
Whether she's going there. She's been there. She's going there twice.
And will she go there for the next phase of the trial later this month?
Sure. Especially when the file really is empty. It has nothing in it, if you are informed.
There are, of course, there are 8 other people who have been indicted on the same charges. Will they all be sent to France to face trial?
I think this case of Rose Kabuye will probably indicate that all along this has just been a farce and there's nothing in the file. So if Rose's case proves that there is nothing in the file for everybody, what do they go there to do?
Let's talk about the wider issue of international law. The International Criminal Court has arrest warrant out for President Bashir of Sudan. You're an influential African leader. Do you believe he should now face those charges at the International Court?
First of all, I have issues with the International Court itself, even before I talk about Bashir. I think the way it is structured, the way it operates, does not give assurance to me, at least if I may speak for myself, but I think it doesn't give assurance to many Africans that it is not just another tool to manipulate and control and do all sorts of things with the Africans.
Because that's precisely what President Bashir himself says. Are you comfortable using the same argument that he uses?
Well, Bashir might be guilty of many things, but he might also make a point.
He might be guilty of many things, and the only way to find out is to put him before the International Criminal Court.
Well, there are 2 issues for me here. There is the International Court itself that I have issues with. There's another issue of whether Bashir is guilty or not of the charges that are leveled against him. And that is not for me to answer. What I'm now talking about is about the way International Criminal Court operates so selectively and seems to be, and I am saying it really from even the history of the cases that already are in its hands. They just create that impression.
But do you not perceive the danger with the messages you bring and the rhetoric you use that you may end up isolating Rwanda from Western investment, Western support, at a time when you still need it?
No, that is, you are now, It's like now a threat to silence me. I will not say these things because, you know, there will be backlash. Why should there be backlash if those who claim to be...
It's no sort of threat, it's reality. We've seen the Netherlands and
Yes.
Sweden cut off substantial portions of their aid to
reality,
your government
yes.
because of your policies in Congo, which we have just discussed.
Absolutely.
That is the reality.
And also that makes my point very clear then, that if you have a world that will give you aid because you are under their dictate, and if you do anything different in your interest that is not in their interest according to them, therefore that results into that kind of thing. Precisely that is the point I'm making, that aid should not be permanent. Because it ends up being a tool of either Sweden or Holland to control Rwanda or other African countries.
So to be clear about it, and this is a final thought, you would rather have the freedom to conduct, for example, military operations in Congo, the freedom to control your own press in a way which Western countries regard as unreasonable. You would rather have those sorts of freedoms than have Western investment, Western support, Western aid.
What I don't want is the arrogance of the West, of thinking that they are right on everything, even where they have messed up, like in Africa or like in Rwanda. And what I'm saying is that Rwandans and Africans need their freedom to act, to work also towards their own interests. It's not to serve the interests of the West that we live for. That's what I'm saying. When people talk about Eastern Congo and put Rwanda out of context in its involvement, it's exactly part of the problem. Because they want to look at Rwanda in the context of violence, of ethnicity, of all sorts of things. Well, first of all, they've been part of that. Secondly, they forget that what Rwanda is doing actually in the interests of peace and stability, and is doing it with the other Africans.
President Paul Kagame, we're out of time, but thank you very much for being on Hard Talk.
Thank you.